So NASA, via the Gateway to Astronaut Photography of Earth project. Well, I didn't know about this, I'll be honest with you. I also didn't know about this map that is now loading. What is happening? Oh my God. My computer is, my video capture software is slowing down. I need to close this. I need to leave. You can figure out what that is on your own. You're going to enjoy it. But this is one of several tools through which NASA releases image, and about 12,000 Artemis photos just dropped through this. Around 12,000 photos dropped, and they are inside of this tool, which is extremely bad. It is slow. Just don't think that it's used to seeing much traffic, and it's seeing a lot of traffic right now. Like, I just clicked on this and, you know, it'll get there. That's actually way faster than it was when I was first doing this. But like, there's a general problem here, which is that a lot of these photos are pretty bad. Like, they're gonna be pretty bad. A lot of them are of nothing. This is just a black screen. These are just all the photos they took, and sometimes they had the settings wrong or they were figuring stuff out. So one, a lot of these photos are like not particularly interesting. Like, this is a photo of the full moon. It looks a lot like the photos of the full moon that you've seen before. And then also, in addition to that, if I'm gonna add them to the ArtemisTimeline.com tool, I'm not going to add 12,000 photos to the tool because it's just going to make it impossible to use the tool. So quick and dirty, the main tool, you can go through 50 images and pick the 5 that you like best. So maybe you're going to be frustrated that you like can't get like all of the coolest ones. That one's pretty cool. This one's cool. This is quite cool. That's good. This is good. And then you got 5 and you can't pick more than 5. And that's annoying, right? Because maybe I want this one of the Earth, or maybe I want this really dark one of the eclipse. But if everybody does this, it all adds up and we bring the ones to the top that people find the most interesting and attractive, and you submit your picks, and people have done this. I just posted this on the community tab, and if you do enough of them, you get access to the final list that this creates, which I'm about to show you because now we have enough votes. So I will load up for you the leaderboard right now, and you will see an interesting effect. It's coming any moment now. People like the eclipse. People liked the eclipse. Now, one thing is that there were a lot of these, so that whoever was taking these eclipse pictures took a bunch of them. Makes sense. They were doing this, and then they were changing the settings and going. That's what you do, especially if you are doing a long exposure. You're going to have a bunch that have non-ideal settings. You're gonna have a bunch where there's a little jiggle, but you do get these ones like this, which is like way more exposed than any of the other ones that we've seen, which is quite pretty because you see so much. Like, all of this is lit up dust of the solar system. So just the sun hitting particles of dust in the solar system. That's the zodiacal light, and you just get to see so much of it. And then also you sometimes get to see like little effects. Like, this is the #1 most picked one. And like, it's kind of nice that there are these, and I think that these are just like window glare. There's also these streaks here, which is the Earth, the brightness of the Earth. I don't know if they're interacting with the lens or with the window or something. This is crazy, but the top voted picture in this tool is not one of the ones NASA initially released, which I think is awesome. But is it the best one I'm going to show you? Is it the coolest thing I'm going to show you in this video? No, it is not. And in fact, that is not something that NASA released. It's something that somebody made. And then I asked if I could show it in this video, and they said yes. Doing a final cut on this video right now, and I realized what a stupid thing I did, which is that I did a whole thing where I figured out everybody's favorite image from Artemis, and there's 8 days left in the calendar pre-order, which means that there is still time to make changes to the calendar. And so I did that. I swapped out September for the image that everybody liked the most. It's this one here. That is now September because it was #1, and that was obviously something I should do. And I'm very glad that there was still time to do it. And if you want a 2027 calendar with photos from Artemis, and we're also doing like anniversaries of Artemis dates in the calendar, so you can like relive the experience a little bit and remember that humans can do great things, there's a link to it in the description. Now back to the video. So what you see now is that like this isn't actually that useful, because if I just pick the top like pictures to include, I'm just gonna get a bunch of the same photos because everybody liked this. There's actually only 4 of these. So, but everybody liked these types, you know, and then everybody liked this. And then, you know, you got more, and like all of these ones also made it in. There is like a top voted one, which is nice. I love that you can see the outline of the window pane here. And so like, that's not gonna be ideal. So what I've decided to do is I created a little version of this that lets me curate it. And I'm going to take that down after this, because if a bunch of people go to it, it will be a problem for NASA's website because it preloads the images in the background, so I don't have to wait for them to load. That's just for me, nobody else can use it. But if I go to vote/curate, and then I can download just like a spreadsheet of the names of these pictures, and then I can use that to do 2 things with. Number one, to populate the Artemis timeline with them. And number two, I'm going to do a head-to-head face-off tool where it's like this versus this. And then we're going to see if it changes what the top photo is. If we can see more easily see a high-res version of these. And then it'll be like a much smaller number. It won't be 12,000. It might be 200. I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to end up picking after this. But for example, we are going to pick this one. And it will also be a pain in the ass to figure out which of these. I don't actually know I'm going to do this, but I think that there are ways to make sure I don't duplicate, because these have different file names than the ones I pulled from Flickr, of course. So what I've decided to do here is to not take any account of whether or not these pictures are already in the timeline. I do not know, and I will not know. I'm just going to pick them all, and then I'm going to fix that in the merge. So I think that the right thing to do at this stage is to just do like a manual pick. Images like this one here, there's a bunch of them, and they all are oriented roughly the same way, and it would be very easy to line all of these up and then make an animation out of them. But what I wouldn't have thought to do, and what I really is the reason that you should be watching this video right now, is you can also do that with these pictures. So there's a ton of these Earth from the dark side pictures, and they all kind of surfaced roughly together inside of the tool. People ranked them similarly. And it occurred to me that it would be super amazing if you created a time lapse with all of these images as Artemis was moving around the moon, and it would make it look like you were watching the Earth set as the astronauts did. And you could kind of see it as a video, but I'm certainly not going to do that. But I hope somebody does. But it would not have occurred to me to do this with the pictures of the Earth. And I looked at these and I thought I've learned everything I can from them. The only thing that's lighting the Earth right now is the moon. There's a little bit of zodiacal light down here. But I figured that's all you could really tell from these, right? And you'd think two of them would give you the same data as one of them. So I wouldn't even think to do a time lapse with those, to take all the pictures and then lay them on top of each other and see what happened. But somebody did think to do that. Responsibility number 2097 did, and I asked them if I could include it in the timeline and in a video. So this is the most sci-fi picture of the Earth I have ever seen. And they would not have been able to see what we are able to see here, because this is such a high ISO camera, so this is going to be much brighter than what the human eye would detect. He did not know what was going to pop up when you lay these things one after another. I don't know if anybody's seen it yet as this is playing on the screen. So first of all, you could see up at the top and at the bottom that you could see the movement of the northern lights, which is very cool. But we've seen that in time lapses from the International Space Station, but never at the scale of the whole Earth. But also, we've also seen time lapses of this from the International Space Station. Over on the right, you can see a thunderstorm with flashes of lightning, which is amazing. So that's the long exposures and the high ISO is catching these flashes of lightning. But by far the craziest, most intense, oh my God, we are a technological species. You can see not just the lights of the cities of the Earth lighting up here, which is that's a civilizational planet. That is a planet of advanced life. Oh, before I tell you the thing, I'm going to mention one more thing, which is that I want to know, is this right in the middle here? This so there's clouds, and maybe this is just clouds, but it looks like there's a glow here in the middle, and there's a thing it may not be clouds. I feel like that might be the moon reflecting in the Earth, which I would not have thought about if I was just looking at this image. Oh God, this is so cool. Now, the other thing is that you can actually see the Earth very slightly twisting, and you could also see it getting smaller because they're moving away from the Earth very quickly. But the thing that absolutely blew my mind, and I was like, is that what I'm actually seeing? Is the satellites. This swarm of satellites to the left and to the right, and I think that you can see them there because that's where they're catching the glint of the sun or of the moon. I don't know where the light is coming from, but I know that these are satellites. I know that they could be nothing besides satellites. And there's actually at the top, you could see, I'm pretty sure you could see an orbit of a chain of Starlink satellites that's coming up over, and they're catching, and then they're disappearing as they're no longer bouncing the light of probably the sun. I don't know how else they could possibly be bright enough to glow without it being that they are actually catching the sunlight right on the edge there. Think that they would catch the sunlight. From the perspective of those satellites, they could see the sun. But Artemis obviously can't because the Earth is in the way. But from up where they are, I think that they could see the sun. And then they're bouncing the light of the sun to Artemis, and that is making them visible, even though they are, of course, tiny, tiny, tiny things. It's crazy that you could see them in this animation. I mean, oh my God. But you can, because it's about light. It's not about size. It's about photons. And this is detecting so many photons. Like this is a very dark Earth with a very high ISO, very long exposure. And I do feel like this is the reflection of the moon I feel like that's the reflection of the moon in the ocean. I really want to know if that's the case. But the fact that you could see these swarming satellites, which looks absolutely crazy. You know, like there's like the blue marble is one thing, but to see it animated like this, to see it slowly spin, to see it like retracting into the distance as they move away from it, and to see the aurora moving in a thunderstorm with its lightning flashes, and this swarm of little guys all across the outside providing services for the people on the surface. I mean, that's a good planet. And it's not quite like that blue marble sensibility that maybe you get when you're up there on space, when you're like, oh my gosh, look, there are no borders. It's just one Earth. The addition of the satellites, and they're all going such different speeds and, you know, in different orbits and stuff. But like that addition, it just makes me feel like this place is so alive. And not just alive with life, but alive with intelligence. And that's like a different kind of life. I think about this all the time, and I've never like articulated it publicly, how like, you know, technology and culture is in so many ways identical to the processes of natural selection, but through different mechanisms. And so it is like there's so much that is analogous. There's so much that tie those things together. And that just like, I feel it really strongly looking at this. And I don't think that anyone knew that when you stitch these pictures together, you would get this effect of the satellite swarming around the outside there. Like I saw this on Reddit this morning and I was like, I am among the first 1,000 people who have ever had this experience of seeing the Earth alive in all of these ways simultaneously. Like alive with the geology of the aurora, because the aurora is like more or less a geological phenomenon. And then alive with like the water cycle of thunderstorms, and then alive with the green on the continents, and then alive with the city lights on the coasts of these continents, and then alive with the satellites twinkling and threading through space on the outside. It's going to make you feel like there's way more of them than there are. There's a lot of them, but the Earth is very big. Like, but we can only see these because like this is such a sensitive photograph, or such a sensitive series of photographs. But like, I mean, I really am like truly 10 minutes late for this meeting and I have to go, but I just couldn't stop myself. I had to record this. Earth is so good. It is such a good planet. I feel so good about it. I am such a fan. I will put a link to this in the description. I'm also going to put up, once I download all of these photos, the pictures I've picked as the top of the top 1,000. And you'll be able to like do with this or that, and we'll see which surfaces as the best picture from Artemis. What I will say is there is now no doubt in my mind that this is the best image from Artemis. This moving image. I don't think it's something that they intended to capture at all. Like I remember like Victor Glover said in a press conference that Reed Wiseman tried this and they didn't know if they were going to be able to get this shot well. I don't think that they planned to be like in a perfectly eclipsed Earth, but I guess that was what happened no matter what. They definitely did not know that they were going to be able to capture the glints of satellites. That is a thing that we found out because somebody did this and then posted it on Reddit. Can you see the reflection of the moon and the Earth? I don't see why you couldn't. It's pretty big. It's bright. It's definitely right behind them because it's lighting up the whole planet. It's in full moon configuration, which is, again, just luck. Like so much happened, like had to go right for this image to happen, and it is amazing. Good God. So if I have the versus this or that up, it'll be linked in the description. And if you want to see the leaderboard, you can do that. And I probably won't have the timeline updated by the time this video is live, but I will have it updated soon after that. Thanks for watching. Do you want to play Connections? Oh, I already played it. You can't watch. I already did it.